Network Entertainment.
It's cool to be Swerve. It's cool to like Swerve because Swerve isn't watering down his character because he turned face since winning a championship from Samoa Joe. So that's pretty cool, and I hope that this continues because people turned on MJF when he started doing the whole buddy cop thing with Adam Cole, which is something I like kasi nagpakita siya ng character development diba? That's what I always wanted. That's what I always wanted from MJF. But people didn't like that. Apparently, people kind of turned on MJF because of that. So I guess the major AEW fan base is the type of fan that doesn't want the whole for kids PG stuff, the PG babyface hero stuff.
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to him.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Adam!
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
You're listening to the longest-running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Stan C and Ro Moran checking in for part 2 of the audio-only version of this week's live stream where we talked about the highlights from AEW, from Smarmy Okada to Toni Storm and the situation with her women's championship, as well as MJF's latest side quest, and we predict the probable winners of the 2024 Owen Hart Cup. Here we go. All right, let's cross over to AEW and talk about my favorite part of Dynamite right now, which is smarmy asshole Okada. Like this one nugget of TV time that Okada got, not even like a minute, was so funny. Cutting off Max Caster's mic and say, "Oh, I pressed the wrong button, bitch." I swear to God, he has tapped into something here that na sobrang bagay sa American wrestling scene.
I feel like Okada has always wanted to be a character. Like he tried, right? He tried with the balloon, the snapped, broken Okada, the one with the balloon, and people didn't like it because it was so weird in the context of New Japan. Because New Japan is the land of, in Japan in general, is the land of work rate, of fighting, of fighting spirit, of wrestling as sports. And he wanted to be something different. He wanted to be a character, and people were poo-pooing that so badly na parang ako lang ata nakita. I understand why this guy wants to try something different because you can only be the Rainmaker for so long until it starts to lose its meaning. Diba? So I'm glad na he's able to find a different gear in AEW. Between him and Shibata and Ospreay, the NJPW signings by AEW have turned out to be a net positive. Talagang, okay, you were wondering, AEW, NJPW shows up on AEW like once or a few months, a few weeks, a year anyway. So what's the difference? And that this is the difference. This is the major difference. And alam mo yun, it's the environment that they find themselves in gives the most creative of them a way to be just different, to do something different, and for cases like Okada and Shibata and Ospreay, nag-elevate din yung career sila. Kasi iba yung ginagawa nila eh. They found a different way to resonate with the crowd. Like Shibata found the text-to-speech thing.
Yeah, that's also really funny. Like, he's not even on screen this week, but you can feel his presence because he's part of the.
It's not even him.
Crew.
It's obviously not him because somebody else is doing the text-to-speech.
Yeah, but Shibata was behind the cam, and Shibata is still part of the story. right? You're right. You mentioned all of these New Japan signings and how they are getting to try all of these new things. Si Jay White yung nauna sa kanila, and with Jay White, it took him a while to find that character, diba? With the Bang Bang Gang. Because before that, he was just expected to be Jay White, the same guy who was terrorizing New Japan as the leader of the Bullet Club. So I guess they're also learning from the lessons of Jay White and how they didn't get to strike agad with whatever character Jay White had to be.
I feeling ko yung yung consensus among the New Japan guys is that with the exception of Osprey, they can come over to America and be goofy. Yun yung feeling ko. Pero there is a level of goofiness in Japan for sure. Pero syempre everyone expecting, especially the American fans, are expecting you to be super serious and to be no nonsense. But if you're a comedy character, then you're not going to be pushed all the way to the moon. Yeah. Or if you're a different kind of character, you're not going to be main event level. You're not going to be that. So I like that they're able to take a load off and be someone else, be something else.
Yeah, it also kind of reduces yung pressure on them to still be delivering New Japan level matches like week after week after week. Kasi yung papatay sa kanila eh. Like literally. Right?
Yeah, agree. But I mean, AEW doesn't book everyone every week unless you're like a Swerve or Osprey na gusto mong nahayok mag-wrestling every week, diba? But for the most part, because the roster is so deep, you're also not gonna be beating your body up every day, every night, every episode.
Sticking with AEW here, let's talk about the women. The war for Mariah May has taken a new chapter here, with Toni Storm actually taking a bullet for Mariah May. So while Mariah was resting on the bosom of Mina Shirakawa, Toni Storm was right there absorbing a beatdown from Saraya, Harley Cameron, and Anna Jay, who was turned heel out of nowhere and is now part of Saraya's crew. Unless I missed a story beat here.
It was a slow burn that they did, pero hindi siya super explicit. Like that was kind of a... They have been teasing it a little bit. They have been telling that story, but it did miss a beat or two. I understand why paano siya nasama, but I also understand why it doesn't make sense for a lot of people unless you've been following Rampage as well every week. So, yun siya. Let's go to a comment by Bruce here. He says that it sounds like Mina is copying the way Asuka speaks English. He was hoping that AEW would do something different, like add subtitles or dubs, voice over. You're gonna voice over someone on live TV.
Gagong hirap nun. I mean, dubbing to get it right is hard as is, but the voice over someone like live, jeez.
Yung talking in Japanese, it sounds like it's nice. It sounds like it's comfortable because it's comfortable for a lot of Japanese stars. Pero it's still not as efficient as speaking in Japanese. Kasi the reason why people like Asuka and Nakamura talk like that, the way that when they talk in English, is at least kahit papano, kahit alam mong second language nila ng English, at least may dating pa yung delivery nila. Like, at least if I listen to Mina Shirakawa speak in English, I'm not gonna hear someone who's reading off a script, diba? I'm not gonna hear someone who delivers their lines as though they're reading off a teleprompter. At least I know na may konting landi yung niya, or may konting romansa yung pagkabigkas ng when she cuts a promo in English, right?
Yeah.
So I don't mind that. I would much rather have that than to completely not understand what they're saying in Japanese and rely on subtitles.
Si Glendale sabi niya, they should do what ENC did to Kai and Tai when they dubbed over English. Glendale, that's not gonna pass in 2024 because that is actually racist. For one, if you have white people doing that to Asian people, sobrang racist nun, diba?
Yeah, Aaron says that nobody understood. HSR also cut a promo earlier. He kind of lost us when he started speaking in Spanish, which is weird because I heard HSR speak in English and he's pretty good. So he's actually pretty good. So I was wondering why he didn't cut a full English promo.
Sabi ni Aaron, apparently Mina Shirakawa is an English lit major.
Huh. Yun mo pala eh.
Interesting. Okay, you know what I like about Mina? She actually enunciates. See, Nakamura kasi, while he speaks English well, he tends to garble his words. He's like...
Well, that's his style. That's his gimmick, though. That's his character.
Yeah, but still, it makes it hard for us to understand Nakamura. Diba? Mina tries to speak clearly, which is why we just understand what Mina Shirakawa says.
Yeah.
So, that works in her favor as it does ours.
Now, if you heard if you also heard if you watch the Hey EW interview, naman siya, that's why would I, and I think they all know that why would they have her go cut a promo in Japanese when she knows how to speak in English relatively well.
Although I think they have a point. Our listeners in the comment section do have a point that if you can, with these non-English speaking wrestlers, maybe they should take a page out of WWE's playbook where they cut a vignette or cut a promo and then gagawing vignette with subs. It might help.
It's a vignette, pero this was a contract signing segment on live television.
Yeah, syempre sobrang hirap na, diba? Like the expectations are much different for a live segment happening in the ring right here, right now, diba?
Yeah.
All right, before we get to bracketology for the Owen Hart Cup, let's talk about the Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay promo from earlier, because that was probably the best segment that these two have had since their program began. Like, Will Ospreay brought an intensity na he hasn't really brought the AEW up to this point, and then si Swerve, nakikita ko na what you've been saying on Patreon and on the podcast, where he's getting his edge back. Hindi na siya 100% babyface. Like, he talks about dropping his friends because they were being useless and he doesn't need friends. And you can see that Swerve is kind of tiptoeing back towards those heel tendencies that he had.
Yeah, I actually don't know who's been writing the stories themselves for Swerve, but they've been hitting recently since winning a championship. So, yung betrayal ng embassy, and then this, he's been nailing the whole thing. Like, I enjoy what he's doing. He is really just not taking everything as a sitting duck, if that makes sense. Alam mo yun, parang, okay, naging face ka, and then you've become a goody two shoes face, right? And then that's not what happened here. Parang it's cool to be Swerve. It's cool to like Swerve because Swerve isn't watering down his character because he turned face since winning a championship from Samoa Joe. So that's pretty cool, and I hope that this continues because people turned on MJF when he started doing the whole buddy cop thing with Adam Cole, which is something I like kasi nagpakita siya ng character development. That's what I was always watching. That's what I always wanted from MJF. But people didn't like that. Apparently, people kind of turned on MJF because of that. So I guess the major AEW fan base is the type of fan that doesn't want the whole for kids PG stuff, the PG babyface hero stuff.
Yeah, okay rin yung okay rin yung tension that they're sowing now with Will Ospreay and Swerve. Like, they're giving it a main event feel, which I think Swerve deserves kasi he didn't even get to main event Double or Nothing.
Yeah. I agree.
So, good storytelling for them. Good segment for Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland on Dynamite earlier. You guys should go catch it. We'll take one more break. When we come back, we'll talk about MJF's latest side quest, and we will do bracketology for the 2024 Owen Hart Cup. But first, another quick word from our other podcasts on the Pod Network.
Hi there, my name is Earl, and I'm the host of Philippine Campfire Stories. After this episode that you're listening to, baka naman gusto mong mag-check ng mga horror stories sa mga folklore and urban legends na nangyayari sa Pilipinas. Mga true horror stories shared in a manner na hindi ka naman matatakot pero ma-entertain ka. Go ahead and check out Philippine Campfire Stories, and we have over 200 episodes just waiting for you. See you there!
All right, let's talk about MJF's latest side quest, which is happening sa Forbidden Door. You had Hechicero cut a promo earlier and basically challenge MJF to a match at Forbidden Door. So Yung nga, MJF still isn't going after whoever's AEW World Champion, that being Swerve, or if he wants to go after Will Ospreay, if and when Ospreay wins it, parang wala pa rin. Kasi right now, he's busying himself with the luchadors, from Rush to Hechicero.
Yeah, it's one of those things that wala pa ring sense, wala na namang sense. TK wants a match, or somebody wants this match. MJF probably wants this match, but they don't know how to properly get there, especially because they're trying to thread it with the feud that the Gates of Agony have, the Cage of Agony has with Swerve, and then with Ospreay, and then now with MJF. It makes zero sense, I will tell you that. But as usual, syempre, the AEW Brain Trust will tell you that this match is great, so we'll just find a really rough way to get there, so we can just get there. Which is, I want this match. I am here for MJF versus Hechicero, but I can't tell you that it's a sensible story.
At what point will AEW fans revolt against this type of storytelling?
No, they won't. They won't.
Or will they always just be good wrestling absolves all sins?
Yeah, that is the psychographic of the AEW fan. As much as we want them to, well, meron naman lumalaban for good stories. Like, you've got the Bryan Danielsons, you've got the Swerves, you've got the Samoa Joes, you got the Mercedes Mones. But for the most part, they don't care. I mean, the fans don't care as long as we get good matches.
Tanong ni Lance, ano raw yung reward ni Hechicero if he injures MJF?
I don't know.
Yeah, wala nga. We don't have a story yet, so we have no idea. All right, let's move on to the Owen Hart Cup. 2024 Owen Hart Cup is on. You've got the men's bracket right here. In fact, yung first match already happened kanina nung Dynamite when Pac upset Claudio Castagnoli and moved on to the second round. So you had Bryan Danielson on commentary, expecting na si Claudio yung mga kalaban niya in the second round if he defeats Shingo Takagi at Forbidden Door, by the way. So that's only the left side of the bracket. On the right side, Rey Fenix against Jay White in the first round, and Jeff Jarrett against TBA. So a lot of questions here, starting with who could TBA be, and who are your picks for the finals and your winner pick?
Bago itong si Wildcard, bagong wrestler nila. Is it going to be like someone qualifying for it?
No idea.
Aren't they going to have? I thought it's G1 pala yan. All right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. I think whoever Wildcard is, Ricochet, yeah, probably, right? I think whoever Wildcard is, he's probably the guy to win the thing.
Interesting. I'm just surprised, I guess, that we're getting Bryan versus Shingo in the first round, but I guess it's an easy way to shoehorn it into Forbidden Door.
Yeah. I didn't even know that people are complaining about Jarrett. Yeah, Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart are tight. So
yeah.
That this makes sense. I don't hate it at all.
Yep. Same here.
Oh wait, sorry. Jay Lethal pala wasn't in this match, in this tournament.
He's not, yeah. And I think for all of Jeff Jarrett's I guess transgressions from his time in TNA, I'd like to think na medyo na-redeem niya na yung sarili niya.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I think he's regained goodwill, you know?
Yeah, like Jeff Jarrett isn't the worst guy in his stable.
Yes. That's all we'll say. Yes.
I mean, it's really either Bryan Danielson or Wildcard.
Mm-hmm. Harvey from Wrestle Pastel is asking, would you all be mad if Wildcard is Ospreay?
How would that work, though? Because he's already going for the championship.
Yeah.
Diba?
I guess.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make logistical sense.
Aaron asks, what if si Adam Cole? Magaling na ba siya?
Hindi pa. He's not good. He's not good to go yet.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I highly doubt it's Adam Cole. I think mas malaki yung chance that it could be Ricochet, but we don't know when Ricochet's contract expires. Kasi kung sinasabi nila na end of June, then baka umabot. Because Forbidden Door is happening at the end of the month, and that's when Bryan versus Shingo is. So he could potentially show up like on the first Dynamite, but that's not a lot of time if the tournament final is on July 10, which is at the very middle of this graphic on the screen.
Yeah, this is an 8-man bracket, so it's not going to be long. Mm-hmm. So the timeline is kind of tight.
Eto, si Emil sabi niya, realistically, it could be Hangman Page. Meron mga bali-balita na Hangman is coming back still as a heel and it could be him.
Sure. I don't mind.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the women's side naman and let's show their bracket here. Oops, sorry about that. And you've got Willow Nightingale and Serena Deeb in the first round, Nyla Rose and Chris Statlander. That happened kanina. Chris Statlander advanced. Kind of weird seeing Nyla Rose as a face, and then I was reminded that they were in the Pacific Northwest, where she is from. Diana Perazzo against Hikaru Shida, also in the first round, and Mariah May against Saraya.
I feel like this is either Mariah May's or Stats to lose. Mariah May for the inevitable split, I guess, from Toni Storm. Chris, because she's also on a big push. For sure, it's gonna that semis is gonna be in a Willow versus Stat again.
Yeah,
that's all I think of.
I'm actually surprised na same brackets in a Willow and Stat.
It is what it is.
Yeah, Diana Perazzo being here, I guess, is a consolation prize kasi medyo nahuyo siya agad after her match against Toni Storm.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's actually pretty deep.
I mean, yes, knowing who these wrestlers are, it's just that a lot of them just don't get TV time.
Sure. And that's the reality of being a woman wrestler in AEW, in Tony Khan's AEW.
Sadly, diba? Yeah. All right, so that's it. That's bracketology for the Owen Hart Cup. Let us know who you think will win, whether it's the Men's Cup or the Women's Cup. You know where to find us. It is at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok. As we wind down here, let's get to some plugs. Ro, what's going on your end?
Unmasked is coming with a new episode tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. We're going to talk about the road to Revolution X 2017. Guys, also please buy WrestleStorm DexCon over on HelixPay, dexcon.helixpay.ph. If you haven't seen it yet, it's really, really cheap. I believe the first part is 150 pesos lang, yung first half of the show, and then the second half with Shivam versus Robin Sane and CDK versus OPM is around like 375 pesos, thereabouts. So guys, go support local wrestling and, make us make money.
Yeah. I must say, like Julian, I also listen to Unmasked when I'm at the gym, so it's good audio material when I'm doing my cardio.
I'm glad that I can be the soundtrack. I'm glad I can be the soundtrack to your workout.
Yeah, it's nice to backtrack on some of the happier times in our wrestling careers.
Not happier.
In 2017, medyo masaya pa yun because that's when we kicked out the Estafador and we're riding our high and all of that good stuff. So happier times.
Sure.
And then we get to the dark stuff in season 3 or 4 or whatever. Julian, thank you for congratulating the Celtics. But I will tell you this, man. You win an NBA championship or you win a championship in any professional sport, you can celebrate however the hell you want.
Oo nga. Ba't ka ba na? Inaano ka ba?
Oo nga. Inataka ba ni Jason Tatum? Jeez. Plugs for me. I'm working on something in time for Ghost Month relating to my people, the Chinese Filipino people. So working on a project that I'm super excited about, and I will be sharing more in the coming weeks when details become available. We will catch you over the weekend when this drops. Tapos on Monday, tutuloy natin yung Wrestling Fan 101 mini-series. Emil will be joining us for this week's recording. It should be another fun listen. And of course, you've got our weekend reactions and picks of the week coming up on Tuesday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you very much to Babyface producer Jasper and everyone over at the Pod Network for all of the work that they do behind the scenes. And thank you to everybody who's here and catching the Wrestling podcast once again. We got to get out of here. So for Ro Moran, as well as Emil Nate, Chino Liao, and Rowan ASH, who can't be here, my name is Stan C. Stay safe, stay dry, and don't be a dick. Wrestling podcast out. Later, outcasts.
Peace. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.